Hey, welcome to the channel. So I thought today we'd do more in depth on pricing, and I know sometimes for you find it hard to put a value on what you're worth, right? And most often the case, what I see with most people like that is they undervalue themselves, that they don't give themselves enough credit for the knowledge that they have. And the other thing we need to talk about is you can't fix stupid. All right, so this should be fun. Stay tuned. So welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it, and we do the weekday show in the morning. It's usually posted by 7 o'clock for you early risers, and I know some of you watch it later in the day and in the evening. It's available on podcast as well, so if you're stuck in traffic, it might be something to turn on, right? So what are we talking about? We're talking about, this is more for you if you're looking at starting a shop, looking at working part-time, repairing stuff for, maybe retirement or on the side, and even for the bigger shops. But where I see the biggest issues is not the bigger shops. They just look around and see what their competitor is charging, and they charge equal to their competitor. And I know that when it comes to what your posted hourly rate is, that most shops, because they're doing mostly warranty, and that's the first thing that the warranty manufacturer asks for is what is your posted hourly rate? And they will pay up to a certain amount of that hourly rate, right? So the higher that is, the better off it is if you're doing warranty. Now, if you post that you go and you get you're a warranty shop for Kohler, and you post $55 an hour. Now, you may be getting $55 an hour for the warranty work on that lawnmower, but that big shop working on the same doggone lawnmower is getting $120 an hour. And that's why they post the $100 to $120 an hour. And then they pass it on to their customers, and most often the case, their parts guy, parts manager, sales, they don't care about the customer. And I don't want to say that way. Let me put it to you differently. I mean, an example is we have one of our customers, and I said this in a different video, that he had a Polaris four-wheeler, and he couldn't get it to start. And at the time, we weren't working on side-by-sides and that because Claude wanted to stay away from them. So he took it back to where he bought it, brand new. Everything's good, right? Up to that point. Now, this is a bigger dealer, and they're charging $120 an hour very straight through. Now, when it got all said and done, they charged him $800 for a new battery. Right? So, did they care what the customer thought? No. Was it less than half of a new? Yeah, because you're working on anywhere from a $6,000 to a $20,000 four-wheeler in these days. So $800 was a cheap repair compared to a lot of the other repairs that they do, but not for swapping a battery out. And he asked him, where did you come up with these hours? Well, we had to test the charging system, test the stator, test the, no. all they did was check the battery, take the battery out, put a new battery in, tighten everything back up, start it up, check the charging system, hook to the battery when it started, it's charging, abracadabra, here's your $800 bill. Now, that battery was around $100, so $700 to change a battery. That's what, and a lot of people pay that because they feel like they're getting top of the line. But that brings us back to us, that we're dealing in less of a value of equipment, right? Lower value. You have to have a set charge, no matter what, that if you bring this to us, this is going to be a minimum of, in our case, it's $45. Minimum. I don't care, like you said, Pete, if the spark plug is loose, $45. If that's all I got to do is tighten the spark plug and put it back, everything works good, $45. Why $45? Because my time in the shop is worth something. Had they taken that to a bigger shop, they wouldn't have got away with it for $45. I guarantee you right now. They would have been swapping parts, saying there were more wrong with it, or saying they put parts in it when they didn't put parts in it. And that's being less than honest, right? So I like to keep it real. I like to keep it honest. You got to be honest with your customer and the warranty shop. And you got to be honest with yourself. And that's the biggest problem that most of us have, right? Is we undervalue ourselves because we think, well, that's kind of petty. Why didn't they figure that out on their own? Because they needed somebody like us, right? And they may have had the spark plug out and we're going to change it and then just stuck it back in hand tight. Who knows? But if the unit is not running when it shows up and is running when it leaves and it's running decent, minimum charge, Pete, $45. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's what I gotta have for every customer that walks through that door and drops a piece of equipment on my lap. And you'll find by the end of the day, it's gonna add up to some things that came in took you a lot longer, right? And some things took you a lot less, But the way we do it here is we do a $45 diagnostic. If we can fix it within that first hour, we charge $55 for the hour and we send it out running. $45 is just to diagnose it. But the way I run my shop here is that first hour that's running, I can do quick diagnostic on it and I can say yay or nay in a hurry, right? So that all has to be factored in. Now, when I say you can't fix stupid, I've had customers, and you guys have probably got plenty of stories too, of a customer that brought a chainsaw in and said that it wasn't cutting worth a damn and a worthless piece of crap. Just fix it. I said, okay, set it down and he left. I tagged it, I looked, chain's on backwards. The friggin' chain is on backwards. Take the two nuts, loosen up the bar, take the chain off, turn it around so the teeth are headed in the right direction, put it back together, tighten it back up, and voila. But I knew I was gonna have to charge him the $45, all right? So what I did do to add more service to that $45 diagnostic is I took the chainsaw file and I touched it up so that it was nice and sharp. And then while it was here, I noticed that it wasn't running, the high speed idle wasn't where it was Sounded really good. So I adjusted the high-speed jet. Okay, so now I've not only put the chain back on the correct way, I've touched it up, and I've adjusted to make sure that it's peaking out where I want it to peak out in RPMs, right? That stuff comes from experience. That stuff comes from knowledge. And your knowledge has got to be worth something, right? Just because you think it's nothing to swap a chain, it could be for the customer, or how to put it on. And what I did tell the customer when he came back to pick it up, I said, look, here's the biggest issue you had. Your chain was on backwards. This is how you put the chain on the correct way. And the saw was fairly new. So I know he went to a big box store and bought this off the shelf. He didn't go to a dealership, because the dealership, most of them, will show you how to run it, how to change the chain on it, and so forth. If you really add up the time that's involved, not only did I swap his chain around, I touched it up, I got the saw running really well, and I explained to him what he did wrong. I took the time to show him how to use it, how to change the changes on it, the safety issues, what you should be wearing. So I'm doing what another dealer would have done if you had gone to a steel dealer and bought a steel from a dealership. They're going to show you that stuff, or should anyways, right? So that all takes time. And I'm willing to give them that time. And sometimes when you add it all up, it comes out to be more than an hour. But I'm billing them for an hour. Now, here's where, it's that gray area, right? What I'm telling you, you have to have a diagnostic fee and a set hourly rate posted based on experience. I'm talking about having a physical shop, all right? Because even the smaller shops, if you're not running it out of your garage, you're paying lights, heat, utilities. I mean, you're paying all this other stuff. So you have overhead, a monthly amount that you have to get to just to cover the overhead. If you're a one-man band doing it out of your garage, that you're already paying for all the utilities, your lights, heat, internet, phone, you already got everything out there, then the 45 is probably extreme. And you're probably not doing warranty work, because warranty work, they like to see a physical location of a shop. Something that they can walk into at any time, and you have parts maybe here, but you have working shop, working base with mechanics. And I hate to say it, but legit. You're being a legitimate shop. And what comes with being a legitimate shop is your overhead. So if you're looking at doing it in your retirement years, part-time on the side, that changes the whole dynamics. Because if I didn't have the overhead of this building, the lights, the heat, the internet, phone, payroll, if I didn't have all that stuff, I wouldn't have to charge as much. And I shouldn't charge as much. If that makes any sense. So it's all based on where you are on that sliding scale. If you're a weekend warrior, you're looking for a few extra bucks. A youngster, working out of your garage, part-time, nights and weekends. I don't even know I would charge a diagnostic at that point. Because technically, really, for a diagnostic fee, I can throw a compression tester on it. If it doesn't have compression on a two-stroke, you're done. And then I could understand kind of the feeling like, well, I don't want to turn customers away, and I don't want to turn them off by charging too much, and So my biggest question to you, if you're asking me that, I'm going to come back at, is your business legit? Are you paying taxes? Are you collecting taxes? Do you accept credit cards? You know, those is what equates to a real business. If you're working out of your garage, I know some of the guys are going to tell me, well, it's just like working from home. You get to deduct your office, and I guess so. But that means you're collecting sales tax, right? That means you're paying in quarterly, right? Because if you're not, then that changes the whole dynamics. You don't need to charge as much. And if you're just doing it weekends and nights under the table, you know, I wouldn't charge as much. I wouldn't even come close to the $55 an hour. Now, if you're somebody like Travis that's retired and has all that knowledge and stuff, even then I think Travis would agree that you can't charge coming out of the box, you know, $50 to $100 an hour. Now, he was a mechanic for a shop, and the shop was collecting $130 an hour for the work that he was doing. And I think you'll back me up, Travis. You weren't getting paid $130 an hour as a mechanic to work on stuff. Only a percentage of that went to you. The rest had to go for overhead, for your parts manager, your sales manager, your, you know, on and on and on. There's so many people with their hands out when you're running a legitimate business. So I hope that's kind of helped. And to end it, I want to see if there's any interest in it. Now, here's something maybe you haven't thought of or you have thought of. And let me know how you're doing with it. Excuse me. So let me walk around the table here. All right. So I had a customer order some chain from me. And he orders it pretty steady. I sell a lot of chainsaw chain to the guys that are doing it for loggers and tree service and that so forth. So what he ended up doing was, I had checked his last order or what he had gotten, and he wanted the ones with the bumper links in it, which is anti-kickback chain. And that's what you sell to your normal homeowner and experience. You don't want them out there with a full chisel with no bumper. So the people that he is doing the chain loops for did not want the bumper. And it was actually for a village that they had mostly just 20-inch bars, and they wanted full chisel. They want to be able to cut as fast as they can go. And most of the time with those guys, they're not overhead anyways. They're down here. And full chisel will go through the wood a lot faster, but you can get hurt a lot faster, right? So he gave me a call, said I got the chain, and I opened it, and I was getting ready to make chain, and I realized that it's not without the bumpers. I wanted without the bumpers. Well, that's not what he told me. He told me it's the same chain he ordered the last time, which was with bumpers. So anyhow, what I ended up doing was I got 2 boxes of chain in for him without the bumpers. So that left me with 2 boxes of chain, all right? Now, normally, I buy my chain in the loops, all right? And depending on the saw, they sell anywhere from, I think it's 12, 14 bucks a piece on up. But we sell the rotary, we sell Oregon, you know, whatever our customer wants, right? But what I've found is that the copperheads are a really good chain to use. And a lot of the big loggers actually have started using it, that they love it. Because the reason I went to this over Oregon was this here, when you get close to stones but you don't hit them, They don't dull like most chains. And you're not spending a lot of time trying to get that edge back. They hold their edge. So I end up with 2 boxes of chain that I knew I didn't have a sale for right off. So I happened to check Harbor Freight. And guess what? Harbor Freight has got this unit. And it has the chain brake where you can pop the rivets out. And then it's got the spinner where you can set the chain in with new hoops and tighten it in and, round that rivet off. And if you have any interest, I've got coming from Oregon. I ordered for 3/8 the different size chains, and it's a decal. You can set it down onto a permanent situation, and then just take and start your saw blade here with a nail and reach out, and it'll tell you exactly how many links it is to that point, and then you can just mark it, bring it over here, pop the rivets out, take your link, put it together, and then rivet your new chain back together. We're going to go ahead, and once that gets here, we're going to set this all up in a permanent location. I haven't quite decided where to do it, whether to do it on this table or to clear out a space and make it just for the chainsaw stuff. I want to see how much that I paid for this loop to how many chains I can make up that I normally buy. So on that note, when it comes to billing and stuff, it all depends on what depth you are. If you're a full warranty shop, you have a legitimate business, you collect sales tax, you pay into the government, you have overhead, and you're going to require more money per hour. And that's what I say about the bigger shops. They've got more people. They've got more overhead that they have to cover off the backs of their mechanics. If you're just a weekend warrior, nights and weekends, no. Because, why should you get the same amount that the shop is getting? If you can get it, get it. But I don't know. I wouldn't charge as much as I do if I was doing it just on the side and nights and weekends under the table. But when I see customers go to them, because I have a couple of them in our area that we sell parts to, it's because they're unwilling to pay my shop rate. And they're usually El Cheapos. They squeak when they walk. So they want to get it done as cheaply as possible. Don't they all? Most of my customers, I pick and choose who we have for customers. My customers just want it fixed right. Here's the bill. Here's payment. Thank you. All right, guys. Catch you on the next video.